two different bodies of work that I've been working on concurrently, and they sort of feed one another. The Silk Diary series I started because I was trying to hone my abstract compositional skills and work a little bit more deeply with color theory than I ever had before. And because I had been making some wearable pieces with my silk painting, I had some offcuts sitting around with, you know, there's nothing to do with them other than just create and be curious about what else can this be. And so I started painting with them. I thought, I'm going to use these pieces of fabric that are already painted to sort of paint on a surface so that, you know, there's no risk involved. I'm not using a large piece of silk, having to mix all the dyes. I already have all these individual pieces. And after I made one and showed my husband, who's also an artist, who's videoing over there, it kind of took off. It had life, it was very vibrant, and I was really addicted to it. It just became incredibly cathartic to work this way. So I started stitching them with this crazy quilt stitch because crazy quilts historically are crazy quilts because they carry the memory of the family. And since these were offcuts of my first 4 years of having Carrie Wright Silk as a business and trying to sort of curate all of this, you know, this basically the scrap bin of silk that was precious to me, I realized they all carry memories, and that little crazy quilt stitch helps pull the piece together, add some texture, and also is a nod toward what crazy quilting is, which is these are my memories. So I can tell you what project every little piece of silk came from.
Did every little piece start out like white?
Yes.
And you've added the color to everything.
I have. So where you see white, it is a piece of white silk that was intentionally white from a painting I had already done. So there are some little pieces of white here and there in the work that I kind of trim out of other pieces of art. Some of the work is failed scarves, things that I made that I just thought this is really ugly and I don't want this to represent me. Failures that I've had along the way that after you chop them up and look at different pieces and parts of them, they become beautiful again. So you're just kind of ruthless with the work, you know. I'm ruthless with my own work, and I'll cut it up and shred it and do all kinds of things, just experimenting to see where it can go and what it can do. And then the meditation on the creation series, I kind of hemmed and hawed about what I would include in the show, and Barbara and I talked about it, and there were enough pieces I had collected as sketches that I decided to kind of do a half and half and go ahead and reveal this to you. These are all sketches toward what I hope to be a very large art experience, pop-up gallery show thing here in town that I really hope I'll be able to accomplish. I don't know what space I'll do it in yet, but I want it to be a very immersive experience with things hanging down from the ceiling, which is why you see the scroll at the entrance. So very large pieces that you'll walk through and experience with light and sound and the whole shebang. And I think that the title speaks for itself. One of the ways that I have dealt with 2020 and all of the events since is to really dive in and do a lot of research. And I've listened to countless hours of very boring scientific lectures of people at universities, you know, talking about CRISPR and talking about AI, and I've learned all kinds of things that would make your hair curl. And really what it has done for me is sort of drive me back into really meditating about where everything comes from in the first place, where our DNA comes from, and seeing beauty in the micro, as well as then seeing how that beauty in the micro translates into beautiful flowers and the universe and all the beauty that we see coming back from the James Webb Telescope. Just have really been meditating on that quite a lot lately. So I hope you like the show. Every single piece starts white. So it's a brush with dye that's specially formulated for silk painting, and a couple of different types of resist. One of them is kind of a glue consistency that gets applied with a little bottle with a teeny tiny little tip on it, so you're squeezing and drawing and using that as your illustration tool. And my other favorite thing to use is wax. I use a soy wax because it completely washes out and steams out of the fabric. But that is what is allowing me to get really expressive brush strokes in the work, so that I'm working in layers of color and working with wax through the layering up of the color, so that you're not then restricted to having things look like a two-dimensional coloring book page. Hopefully they kind of spring to life more. There's more depth, there's more texture in the work. So that's where a lot of this mark making comes from. Everything is steam set so that it's completely color fast, and the dyes that I use are allegedly they're light fast, although I've never hung anything in a window to see how long it lasted, because I think the sun destroys everything anyway.
You can test it out here.
Yeah, we're testing it out with the scroll, hanging it in a very hot window there. So any questions?
So what's going to be exciting is on the 22nd, which is a Saturday, Carrie's going to come in from 11 to 3, and she's going to demonstrate her work. So you can see and ask questions. She can show you how she does it. We'll also do a trunk show, so there'll be more stuff here. And we also have chocolate and mimosas, which helps the buying experience just totally.
And the painting experience.
And the painting experience.
Yeah.
So please put that on your calendar. We'll
Send out reminders.
Yeah, lots of reminders about that. But if anyone has any questions, Carrie's here.
How long does it take? Let's just take this piece. How long did that stitching take? Because I would still be doing it years later.
No, I'm machine stitching, because the truth is,
That makes me feel so much better.
You have to, because you would never pay me for what that would cost, and there's not time to sit and do that by hand.
I was
even
just
though
in shock.
I do know how to do that by hand,
Do you?
but
Oh.
I don't take the time to do that. No, I have a great little sewing machine that it goes through.
But still, putting all those little pieces together.
Yeah.
It would be.
It
I
does
have
take
trouble sewing a straight line on a machine.
practice, you know.
I wanted to know, Carrie, do you make design, paper, pencil, and whatever before? Or
Never.
is that never? It's
Never.
just right there.
I think the first thing that I sketched were the scarves for the First Lady. Like, I did not, the Indiana,
Yeah.
Governor Holcomb's, Janet Holcomb. No, I don't work that way. I have a general idea of what I'm after. And usually more than a general idea. I mean, I have a vision in my mind of kind of where I want to go. And it evolves as I'm working. So I kind of create my own problems and then solve them. You know, if I make a mistake or something that looks like a mistake, I'm looking for a creative way to incorporate that into the work and just allow the mistake to guide the next thing that I'm doing to try to keep going, you know, to not give up on the piece. And sometimes things turn out really ugly and you never see them. But it's not frequent. I'm pretty good now to where I have command of the medium, and I'm not fumbling with the medium anymore. I feel like I have complete command of that, so I can make it do. I know what it's going to do, and I know how to get it to do what I want it to do. But I am working in the moment, and I
But
don't.
you have a general idea what you want.
I do, and I don't labor over every stroke. That it's just very fluid work, and I feel that the work is very alive for that reason, because I'm responding in the moment to a white piece of silk, and I know, like for this, I know I'm going to use my iconography. This is just kind of I think Dan didn't call them glyphs.
I did call them glyphs.
Because I think it's really odd that you've developed this glyph language. And I'm like, I know, I don't know what I'm doing. But I have to do it over and over, and I can't stop doing this. It's just in me. I'm compelled to make these this language has developed, and I can't stop. I don't want to stop doing it yet. When I'm done doing that, I will move on and make other marks. But I know that I'm going to make the marks. I know that I'm going to play with my line with my squeegee. I know that I'm going to, that I know. But what that mark is going to look like, I have no clue until I put it down. I'm doodling.
Nice
It's a
doodles.
creative way of doing it.
Yeah.
And my doodles don't look like that.
Well, I have a fine art painter friend that was very kind to give me freedom to do that and to say it feels easy, doesn't it? And I'm like, yes, it just comes right out. And he said, don't apologize for that. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, there's nothing wrong if this is natural for you and you're not laboring painfully over every mark. Like, no, it's incredibly joyful. I'm just completely free when I'm doing it, and it feels good and it feels right, and I'm in the moment doing it, and I feel like the work is buoyant and joyful when I step back from it and look, and it makes me happy, and I hope it makes you happy to look at.
Yay. Excellent.
Thank you. Carrie will be here to answer. If you have questions, feel free. And I remember the 22nd, and the pieces will be up through the end of September.